stop.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
Anthony.
Oh, shoot. Yo, we got to
Yeah.
outro this, man.
Yes.
What are we doing? Whoa, who's
Bro,
jumping the
I'm
gun?
just trying to cue you up on the outro.
I am the captain now.
I got too entranced with talking to Nietzsche.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Spittin' Hoops. It's episode 21. We've made it to 21 episodes somehow. I'm here with Anthony.
How we doing, folks?
And we're going to have a special guest join us to break down the Orlando Magic as we continue doing all of our season previews. But first, there was some drama in the world of FIBA and international basketball. Obviously, Team USA lost. We'll be going over that. Also, we're recording this on 9/11. So just want to pay respects. Shout out. Wait, Bones, I was just going to hop in. I have a story to tell. So I do social media work and stuff, right? So I was working somewhere and I needed to post like a 9/11 remembrance post. And instead, I needed to post it for some reason. They really wanted it to be posted at 9 a.m. I posted it at like 9:45 because I slept in. I woke up to okay, maybe I might be under exaggerating, Loki. I might have slept in more.
Oh, no.
But it wasn't like I didn't wake up at like 2 p.m. or something.
Yeah.
And then so I posted it maybe an hour late, maybe 2 hours late. But I woke up to like 45 missed calls, and then I resigned the next day. So
Yo. Sheesh.
this section is gonna be chopped up so hard.
Yeah. Sorry, listeners. Love you. For the record, fuck, the terrorists. Go USA. Also, screw us for, fuck us for invading countries that had nothing to do with it. It's all fucked up. But this is a basketball show, not a political pod. Maybe one day, we'll see.
That would be terrible. I was talking about obviously Team USA. So in round one, our last podcast, was right before the knockouts. Round one, Team USA knocked out Italy 100-63. Banchero sticks it to the Italian Federation. USA flags wave, etc. Okay, next game. Team USA loses to Germany in overtime of game 2. Pretty crazy game. You obviously had the McCall Bridges. He hit that fall away after he missed the free throw, and that was crazy. And then they lost. So no one's ever going to remember that. Yeah. And then Team USA loses to Canada in the bronze medal game. Just for the record, I had all the games incorrect in my notes, and as I was talking to Anthony, went and fixed them. So shout out Anthony for that. But Germany ends up taking the chip. Dennis Schroeder wins tournament MVP. Some pretty great performances out of him. We saw him on both ends of the spectrum. He was 4 for 26 one game, and then now he's tournament MVP, right? So great performances. Anthony, anything you want to talk about? Any takeaways?
Dude, yeah. Dennis Schroeder, greatest player in the world, maybe, question mark right now. You won the world
champ.
Dude, it's impressive. What else? Shout out to Serbia, just another Eastern European team playing with guys that have come up in the same system for so long, know how to play the same way. They got to the silver medal round, and they don't even have Jokic. So it's sort of like, okay, oh my Lord, what could they do if he's playing? But dude, I think it's a combination of a couple things. One, the world is just getting so much better consistently, and now we're seeing that there's 2, 3, 4 NBA guys on every roster, and the ones who aren't on NBA rosters aren't slouches; they're great players. And so you get that combined with the fact that we're just not sending our most talented players to these tournaments. And I think for me personally, Olympics is where I care the most. I think, for soccer or football, people care much more about FIFA than they do the Olympics. And I think for basketball, that changes around. So, we just didn't send our most talented field. We really saw our front line, Jaren Jackson Jr., 3 rebounds in the final game. Just not really, I don't even think he was in the top 8 of guys on the team for rebounding. So, great, depoy. That's kind of where we are. So we're hearing rumors about LeBron's getting the Avengers together. We're going to see what's going to happen. He's calling Steph. He's calling KD. He's calling AD. Better focus on the Lakers now, but he's calling AD. He's calling Jason Tatum. He's calling his boy Draymond, bro. And then Book's showing up, Kyrie, De'Aaron, like Dame. Like they're pulling up with everybody. We just need a good center or two to bang on the boards. But other than that, so that's why I think, world is getting way, way, way better. And the U.S., we just sent out a pretty good team.
Yeah, I mean, this is why they play the games right. I think if you play this tournament 100 times, we probably still win it 60 to 70 times. Not to disrespect, Germany, but that's just talent-wise. That's kind of how I feel. The roster construction was also kind of weird. I mean, you have Jaren Jackson playing center. Jaren Jackson's never played a solo center position in his professional NBA career ever. He always plays next to Xavier Tillman, always plays next to Jaren Jackson, always plays next to Steven Adams, Brandon Clark. Jaren Jackson plays next to those guys. Anyways,
he's got a center next to him.
Yeah, exactly. Overall, I mean, I was really impressed by Dylan Brooks. Like, obviously, he's clearly an NBA player. I know we clown him, and I clown him for the contract that he got. But he's a terrific defensive player, and he scored 39 points. Like, when a guy like that is giving you that much value, it's really hard to stop. And honestly, incredibly impressive. Like, genuinely incredibly impressive. SGA to me, fantastic. He's incredible as always. But yeah, I just think the rest of the world's getting better. You play the games, you lose, things happen. It's basketball. Like, I'm not really tripping too hard. If anything, I was really excited by the development I saw by a lot of these young players. Like, I really thought guys like McCall, Halliburton, Austin Reeves, Anthony Edwards, they all clearly looked a lot better playing in the FIBA team. Even just like certain moves, like, although it's not perfectly translatable, right? If you're playing with the All-Stars, clearly they weren't playing with all the All-Stars they lost. Right. But like, it obviously isn't perfectly transferable to an NBA environment, but it was really exciting to see like some of the stuff those guys were doing. I'm not tripping too hard, basically. And my final takeaway is just they probably should have brought Kevon Looney. They'd have, a chip. So
Kevon Looney plays for Canada?
No, I'm saying the US.
Oh, for the States. Dude, yeah, definitely. I mean, like Walker Kessler's there. Like, play him. He's a rebounder. And
I think those guys translate, like, as those guys have a ton of value in actual NBA basketball. And then, like, that's perfectly, that skill set is super transferable to, like, FIBA. Like, those guys who just crash the boards, like, don't have to necessarily move too much. I don't know. It's kind of funny because it is the whole concept of you're putting a bunch of star players together, and now they've never been role players in their life, right? Mm-hmm. And it's almost like, shit, maybe we should have brought Kevon Looney. Maybe we should have brought Mitchell Robinson, etc. So, yeah.
100%. I'm so with you. And I think this is just a perfect form or explanation of just because you get all these guys who are talented playing, it doesn't mean that you can win. This is a team sport and you need cohesion. You have to be so overpoweringly better or talented to offset the chemistry that a lot of these guys had. We saw with the Miami Heat in the playoffs this year, and now we're seeing it with teams that are playing together. And Canada hasn't. I mean, I personally don't know. I would assume that they haven't been playing together for years and years, like some of these Eastern European teams. So it's just fantastic to see. Very happy to see it.
Well, the Canadian team's super young too, like RJ young, SJ young, Dylan Brooks underratedly young. So, they also have like guys like Wiggins and stuff like that who I don't think play or who didn't play.
Jamal. Yeah.
Who might play come the Olympics. But
totally.
With that, I think we covered FIBA sufficiently. Thanks for listening and bearing with us, making terrible jokes. And we're going to get to the Orlando Magic season preview right now. Welcome back, guys. We're here with another team preview, the Orlando Magic, with our good friend Miche, repping the Orlando Magic jersey. Big ups, Miche. As we start off with these team previews, we've only done one, but we're going to start them off this way. How are you feeling? Just pulse of the Magic. How are you feeling?
Pulse of the Magic? I'm feeling pretty good, especially after the FIBA tournament. My boy Franz and Mo, taking that gold medal. FIBA, I think, it's a very important tournament for our boys, right? Paolo playing in that high stakes sort of environment, it gets you accustomed to that game pressure. Franz and Mo, stepping up in big moments. And I think it's kind of setting the tone for this upcoming season of winning, right? Like, I hope Franz will rub it in Paolo's face a little bit and kind of light the fire under his ass. Like, hey, man, your job, you better step up, right? But yeah, good feeling overall.
Nice, nice. Well, we're gonna run through really quick last season, looking forward to next season, hot takes, etc. Last season you guys finished 34 and 48. You guys also had a 4-game losing streak to kind of end the season when it was kind of tank mode. Who knows if those games would have gone differently? But basically a 12-game improvement in the win column from the year previous, where you guys only won 22 games. So that's pretty nice. You guys traded Mo Bamba at the trade deadline for a 2024 Nuggets second-round pick, which you guys will have that next year to use. That was in the whole Thomas Bryant, Pat Bev, Mo Bamba trade, right? This offseason, you guys re-signed Mo Wagner. You guys waived Bull. Last year, obviously, also you guys had the return of Jonathan Isaac, who missed 2 years with the ACL injury, and Jamal Mosley. Coaching his second year last year, 12-game improvement. Pretty nice. Banchero, Rookie of the Year. And Franz played well. So overall, pretty good season. I think kind of where you would want to be as a team that kind of blew it up just a few years back. You have your young guys. They look good. You have your first overall pick, and he plays about as well as you could want him to.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy with how the season went. And, I think everyone has been asking for a while, like, when are the Magic going to stop blowing it up after, Dwight and all that happened. And, I think now is finally the time where we kind of like sit down. Last season, we really figured out what our assets were. Paolo solidified his role. Franz also solidified his role. They're kind of what we're going to be building around. In the beginning of the season last year, I think Markel, his role was kind of up in the air. He was coming back from ACL injury. And that first season when you come back from an ACL injury, you're not always at 100%. Usually takes like 2 years to really get it. But he kind of knocked it out of the park, I think. Like he played very well. And I think like 90% of Magic fans will tell you that Markel will start next year. Wendell, he's our what's up, Anthony?
Definitely.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, definitely in my book, right? But, there's still people that are naysayers. Wendell, he solidified his role as center. Wendell worries me a little bit. He is very prone to injury. He's only played 62 games max in his whole career for a season. And, if we can get past that this year, I'll be very happy with Wendell. But, we have Goga and Mo Wagner as that depth piece. Kind of as that insurance. But yeah, no, I mean, feeling very well, feeling very good. This upcoming season, the roster, it's very packed. We added Jet Howard and Anthony Black. We have a lot of guards. And, for people that play fantasy, it's going to be big headache trying to figure out that shooting guard position. Because Gary Harris right now, I think he's kind of our short-term solution for kind of the 3-point problem that we found last year. That was an issue. I don't know if we were like the worst or like one of the worst teams for 3-point shooting. And I don't think this is a hot take, but everyone was talking about how, the Magic need to go get 3-point shooters. They need to draft 3-point shooters, and we did. We drafted Jet. But I don't think we need to. I think we have 3-point shooters. They just got to get better, right? Like they're young players. Their 3-point percentage is usually pretty low. And they improve, right? Paolo, he shot 30% from 3 last year. In February, he went on a cold streak. He went 1 for 33, which is pretty abysmal. So if you take that out, he was a 33% shooter. And for his rookie year, that's pretty good. Franz is pretty consistent. His numbers jumped up in FIBA, so I could see improvement there. And Markel, he's still getting his shot back. So, maybe with that. But, yeah.
No, I mean,
bro, for real. I mean, the one thing is, as a Celtics fan, I know that the Magic aren't a team to mess around with. It's true.
Yeah,
we played y'all 4 times last year. You guys got the best of us 3 times and only lost by 6 in one of them. So definitely a very good up and coming young team. Always areas to improve. That's just how it works. And I think you guys are definitely one of the safest teams in terms of where you're in a good trajectory for sure. I always got to respect the team that can kind of mollywop the Celtics consistently. And even though we've finished with the record we finished, so
we play very well into good teams, and I like to throw that in my Celtics friends' face that we took those 3 games. But they also beat the Warriors twice in the only 2 games we played. And the Nuggets, the winners, were 1-1 with them last year. So we can beat good teams, and I think a lot of it is because of our defense. We're kind of that positionless basketball, long, linky players that can defend, play offense, and they're a very suffocating team to play against, right? Like it's almost hard to get offense going. So I think that bodes well into good teams. When we play well, we beat good teams. I think that means good things to come.
Yeah, a few other things, like to jump on that positionless basketball idea that I forgot to mention. You guys obviously drafted Anthony Black, number 6. Mo Wagner, you guys re-signed, which is like a kind of a funny like full circle thing. He got cut by the Celtics in 2020. And then you guys picked him up for the rest of the season, re-signed him on a minimum 2 consecutive years. And here he is kind of getting his big contract, 2 years, $18 million, if I remember correctly. Team option in year 2, so low risk for you guys too. But this is a guy who can kind of shoot the rock. You saw him in FIBA. He played well. Pretty mobile for a big guy too, kind of like that. And then Anthony Black is kind of the same sort of deal as a guard, where he can do a little bit of everything, play defense. You'd love to see the shot be a little bit better. Struggled to shoot sometimes in college last year, but if that shot ever comes around, he's going to be a really effective player. And if it never comes around, he'll be pretty good. So, I kind of like those moves, and I kind of feel like they were very in the spirit of the team, if that makes any sense. I guess we'll get into the nitty gritty of this later, but I really feel like this team is it's Franz and Paolo, and we're going to get young pieces to try to complement those guys. But if you're not Franz or Paulo, your future is not guaranteed on this Magic team.
No. And that's another thing, like with minutes, right? Like I don't see rookies are not guaranteed minutes on this team, which is a big thing, for rookies, right? Like they need those minutes to develop. So, I wouldn't be surprised if, Jet has a better season than Anthony Black, just because his skill set kind of fits better into what the Magic need right now. Like they need shooters right now. And that's what Jet brings. Anthony Black, people compare him to kind of like Josh Giddey. I kind of see him as a bigger Jalen Suggs in our team. If he can kind of take that shooting guard role, if he really develops well, and he has good defense, right? Like he can be a very nice piece there, but he's going to have to earn it. Like these battles in training camp are going to be fought. Veterans versus rookies, people are going to up their value for trades. We'll really see what happens this season, but it's all exciting.
Yeah. And on the minutes point, I mean, there's so many incumbent players who've stayed, right? Like there's Okiki, Caleb Houston, Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, Jalen Suggs, Jonathan Isaac, Wendell Carter, Banchero Franz, Mo Wagner, even like Admiral Schofield's back. Like there's a lot of incumbent players on this team, and now you're just adding 2 rookies. Like in theory, this should just mean they continue to develop, but that's in theory. But also that means there's going to be a lot of fight for playing time, and
exactly.
I have a few hot takes to go along with that later. We'll get to it. But looking forward, I guess we can get into this now. We'll start with you, Anthony. Where do you see the Magic finishing as a best case scenario this season?
Best case scenario. I mean, I like the Magic, man. I think you add another 12 wins. I don't think that's happening, but you add half of that, and you're already in the play-in picture. I see the best case scenario. You guys get a 1-game lead over a 7 seed in some lucky fashion, where the 8 seed is far behind or something, and so you guys don't play in the play-in tournament. You play the 3rd seed. You have a tough first round series, and you're out. I think that's the high end for what you guys could do. I think, you could see Franz Wagner take most improved player next year, hypothetically, coincidentally. I think you see Markelle Fultz like really get into his groove, and now instead of 14-6, he's at, I think, 16-7 with clutch shooting, great IQ, very healthy, like kind of team leader. Seems kind of like a Mike Conley type of player. If he can get there and if he can find a shot again, because he was amazing. And then, you get the yips. You go to Philadelphia, dude. Anytime you go to Philadelphia and you're a high pick, you get the yips unless you're Embiid. And even Embiid gets the yips in the playoffs. So just in general, he got to a healthy culture, and now his body and his mind and his soul are coming back together. So that's where I see it. And I think Paolo and Franz obviously take that leap. And I think it's a really good competitive year for you guys, honestly. That's the best case.
Very much agree with that. Yeah, on the Markelle point, it wasn't just the yips. Like he had a like full blown injury, and he was dealing with fluid in his shoulder that really like kind of prevented that shot. I know it's all kind of wishy washy, but I think the Magic staff has done a really good job, kind of helping him through his ACL and helping him get a shot back. So I'm very bullish on Markelle. I think he's going to be really good this season. I think he's going to get a shot back. Any point guard that can absolutely yam on centers and power forwards, you got to love. So fun to watch.
What's your ceiling? Sorry, what's your ceiling on Markelle Fultz? Like, what do you think? Like, what is like? And maybe this is coming from someone like frankly, I don't know if I'm like the biggest Markelle Fultz believer. I would love to see him do well, and he's got a lot of aspects I really like, but I don't know how high his ceiling is in my eyes.
Yeah, and I mean by raw stats, I think he probably is limited based on just because he's probably not going to get back to that 3-point percentage that he had in college. But I think you really saw his impact in the game last year when he was out versus when he got back. The Magic played so much better when Markelle was in the game. He's a great facilitator. He's a great culture guy. People love him. The team loves him. And he's just like very, very intelligent with his playing, right? Like he doesn't take a bad shot. His field goal percentage could go up, of course, but he's such a good facilitator. Like he makes every player play better. And I think, when we talk about ceiling, like, there's stat ceilings, right, that you can talk about, there's all that. Will he live up to his hype of first overall pick? Probably not. But will he exceed what his expectations are on the Magic right now? I think he will, absolutely. And I think he'll be kind of critical in our, eventual, if we make a dynasty out of this team.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, you guys got him for what, James Ennis and a second round pick like 3 years ago. So like, any of this is house money, like, to be honest.
Yeah. Exactly. And now he's kind of that like third piece that, we're kind of considering, kind of keeping in this whole thing. So yeah, no, I love Markelle. He's great.
Bro, Magic 29-31 last season with Markelle Fultz on the team. That's a play-in close like to last year.
No, exactly. Like they play so much better. And even some of those minutes, like Paolo was dealing with his nerve issue when Markelle was all there in February. Like if we're fully healthy, we can very realistically reach 0.5, wins. I think we can be even. And kind of back to what you were talking about, Anthony, I think the goal for next season is really figuring out how pressure, how are these guys around Paolo and Franz handle pressure and how they play together with pressure. I think we will make the play-in tournament. I think it's a pretty achievable goal. Being 7th seed, I'd love to see that. I think they will do it. Understand why people don't think that. But I think we're better than, a lot of the other teams in the East. But, our goal isn't to win a chip next year. Our goal is to figure out our team. And then, Markelle, his contract is up in, I believe, 2 years. Cole Anthony's, no, is up is next year. Mm-hmm. Cole Anthony's is up in 2 years. There's a lot of moves that are going to be happening, I think, this year.
Is that where you see sorry, you said the 7th seed / maybe a 500 team. Is that where you see the ceiling of the team being?
Right now, yeah. I think so. because I think that the Knicks are probably the sixth, and I don't know if sixth or fifth, and I don't know if we're better than them right now. To be fair, they're a lot farther on in their progression. But I think we're better than the Raptors. That may be a hot take, but I think we're better than the Raptors. I think we're better than the Hawks. I think we're better than the Pacers. So those are kind of those top teams. I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. But those are kind of those top teams that were in the play-in contention in the 7th seed. So
better than the Bulls.
Yeah, I think we're better than the Bulls.
Nets.
Yeah. I'd say we're probably better. I know Max likes the Nets. They're good. You can't sleep on the Nets. But
that's the second time in consecutive pods our guest has brought me liking the Nets up, and I think I've actually never mentioned it on the pod, only in private. So it's like you guys are exposing me.
You're a Nets lover, Max.
Yeah.
But something I think that sets the Magic apart is our depth. The Raptors, they don't have great depth. The Nets don't have great depth. And you don't typically associate the Magic with great depth, but that's because these players are young. They're going to prove themselves. We have fantastic guard depth. We have Jonathan Isaac coming off the bench if he gets healthy. He's dealing with a groin injury. He can have groin surgery. If he plays, we'll see. I don't know. Ask his priest. But yeah, I think our depth is where we kind of shine. Cole Anthony, we haven't really talked about him yet, but he is really played really well last year. And that may be a potential conflict in the future I could see happening. He's been outspoken about how he thinks he's a starting point guard in the NBA. I think maybe there's a starting point guard there. I don't think the Magic see him as a starting point guard though. So I think he'll probably be one of the pieces we end up trading, especially if he plays really well this season.
No, definitely. I mean, I'll get into what I think the ceiling is. To be honest, I'd be pretty shocked if you guys made the playoffs, but I think the play-in fight is definitely reachable.
Yeah.
My issue is just you guys finished 13th last year, right? Even if everything went perfectly for you guys, to make the playoffs, you'd have to move in front of 6 different teams, right? Mm-hmm. And in theory, I think you guys are probably better than the Raptors, but who's to say Scotty Barnes doesn't make a big jump, right? Or who's to say the Hawks don't get it together and things like that, right? So I just think so many things would have to go right for you guys to be in the playoffs. Where I'd be pretty shocked. It is possible though. I mean, if you get into the play-in game and you win a game, you're in the playoffs, right? So I think it's possible. I just personally would be very surprised, but I do see that kind of being the peak. But I think the most important thing for the best case scenario of this is continued development from Paolo and Franz without injuries. And then on top of that would be the role players starting to make a little bit more sense next to them. As much as I loved what you guys did last year, you have a guy scoring 20 a game, a guy scoring 19 a game. Both guys are pretty efficient. You'd love to see Paolo shoot better from 3, like you said, but 33% taking out that rough stretch in February, pretty good. But you'd love to see the role players make a little bit more sense next to them. And I think that's kind of where this season, even if you guys finish in the playoffs, in the play-in, out of the play-in, that's going to kind of define how well the season goes, right?
Yeah. No, I think so too. And something that sets Paolo apart from others on this team is his free throw attempts. How many times he gets to the line. He averaged 7.4 free throw attempts last year. And I think only 5 players in Magic history have ever averaged more than 5 free throw attempts. And Shaq and Dwight, Penny Hardaway up there. So even if he maintains his 3-point percentage, I think he will improve in a lot of ways. But no, you're absolutely right. We got to figure out our kind of tangential pieces and figure out that 3-point percentage issue. But yeah, I think the Magic are probably one of the more slept on teams in the league right now. Franz dropped 2 points in the NBA 2K ratings, which has me pretty upset given
that's kind of crazy.
1 gold. I don't know about that, guys.
It's 90 in the FIBA rankings right now, bro.
Yeah. Right. And then, we only get one real televised home game in the NBA, which is pretty crazy, right? And it's against the OKC in February. So it'll be a good match, but I think we're still pretty slept on. Paolo's probably one of the least hyped rookie of the years in a while.
That's fair, honestly. That's actually a pretty interesting take. I actually think that's pretty fair, especially considering how good he was. Like
Yeah.
there are no real question marks about Paolo in terms of being like a qualified, very good player. Like no one's even saying he's gonna be a bust, right? And he still like kind of has no hype.
Yeah, like what is that? And that's fine. Leave the hype. We'll sneak up. People will be surprised when we make the playoffs. That'll be fine. But yeah.
Well, moving forward, let's talk about worst case. We just talked about should everything go right? Should everything go wrong? Anthony, let's start with you.
Should everything go poorly, I'm going to discount catastrophic to all the team injuries type beat. But let's say that there's like an injury that's frustrating that happens to a key player in the development. I still think you guys finished with more wins than you did last year. But I think maybe you bottom out at like 38 wins and you're kind of close for a while and you don't make it. You don't make the play-in. Like there's just too many other solid teams in the East, middling teams in the East. Like those teams you talked about that could be as good. Like Max said, you got to jump all of them, and that's pretty hard to do. So while feasible, 7 more wins and you're right in there. Like it also could go the other way. So and also, there's the worry about how is depth going to look, like you talked about. And if guys don't continue to progress, there's the typical sophomore slump for a Banchero type. And this is the worst that I see. I still think it's 38 wins, 30 and 44 is like fighting in the play. And you're like, okay, that's annoying. Yeah. On to the next season. So I don't, there's no worst case scenario where you're like, what's going on with this team? Yeah. But there is a worst case scenario where like, okay, by, mid-March, you're like, all right, this team's not making the playoffs. So, not great, but not bad.
Yeah. And even if that happens, right, if a key player goes down, we don't do well, get draft picks, right? And we build to our depth even more, come back stronger the next year. So yeah, I agree with that. I think, the only thing that I would be worried about really like harming that we need to maintain is probably the team chemistry. And to like Jamal Mosley's credit, like I think he's done a really good job at building team chemistry. There's a really cool photo of all the whole Magic team showing up for Jalen Suggs's like jersey retirement from his high school. And, I think that like speaks volumes to how much these guys care about each other. Paolo posting congrats to Franz on winning FIBA after he, suffered a pretty tough loss to that team. They really enjoy like playing with each other. And I think we have really good chemistry, which is hard to build. And, not every team I think could say that. So that'd be probably the biggest concern of mine is like, worrying about that team chemistry. Because even if there's an injury, like that's not really that bad, right? Like, sure, we'll be kind of mid for another year, but our path is up. And I think team chemistry and, overall discontent with the front office is what kind of fucked us. And sorry if I can't curse. Kind of screwed us in the past with Shaq and Dwight. That's why they left. We didn't want to pay them. So I'd hate to see that happen with Paolo and Franz. I don't think it will. But yeah, that's kind of, in my opinion, kind of worst case scenario.
I mean, I think that's pretty fair. I think my worst case scenario is probably a little bit lower than you guys, but it's not like a major deal. Just like you guys are saying, like this season could go as poorly as anyone could imagine, and there'd still be stuff here. Like this isn't, you got to be honest, not to flame you guys, this isn't the Magic of 3-4 years ago when it's like we're gonna be an 8 seed at best, like like forever, So like I don't know. That's something that I like about this team. I will say, like, there have been consistent injuries to like Fultz, Suggs, Franz, day to day, like all the time. Like Wendell Carter, even like Joe Ingles coming off an injury. Like there's like half of this team has had a history of injuries, and I don't want to make a prediction based off injuries, but I think that's always possible. I think a sophomore slump is possible from Banchero just because I think a lot of teams are going to focus in a lot more on him. So if the rest of the pieces are really not fitting, he might just statistically have a slump, even if he's not worse, which I think, again, doubtful, but possible.
Mhm.
I'm really high on Franz, though. That's kind of the other side of it. If Benchero started getting triple teamed, like Franz would probably
Yeah.
do pretty well, right? So, we'll see there. I think I could see at worst you guys finishing about the same as last year. Again, slump from Benchero. You guys added a bunch of talent, but maybe it's just not enough talent to catapult you guys above teams that have those like all stars, like Siakam, like Trae Young, guys like that. Even LaMelo, maybe he's able to carry the Hornets. Just thinking about worst case. Do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not. And we'll get into our predictions later, but that's just kind of my worst case.
Yeah. Those are fair worst cases.
Yeah. I guess we can go to predictions right now. Anthony, what's your predictions for the Magic this year?
So predictions, I'm thinking, if we're going to look at the range of what could happen, they're probably going to win 4 games. They won 12 games the year before. Likely, I see a 6 to 7 game win increase, maybe 40 and 42. And I think that you guys make the play-in tournament, and I think that's pretty fair. But you'll probably need to win 2 games in a row, and I don't think that happens. Or if you're the 8 seed, you lose and then you lose. I don't think you make the playoffs, but I think you have good experience or a chance to get in there. I think Banchero, like you talked about with his slump that he had, and considering the various ailments he's been going through, I kind of feel like he went through a version of a sophomore slump. Plus, he played FIBA basketball, which we were talking about was a very important stage to be able to do what you're doing. I think he sees Franz and Mo Wagner winning in FIBA, and in the process beating them, beating him, and he thinks, okay, like I gotta get in the lab after this and see if I can figure it out. So I don't know that he has a sophomore slump, but like Max said, there are those teams in the East that can, like, their star player can kind of just like become a much better star player for that specific season, and they have a peak that makes them more competitive. So we'll see what happens, but I don't see it. I don't see playoffs for y'all. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I did want to touch on another point that you made me think of. In Paolo, he played a very different role in FIBA than he does on the Magic. And I think that's very important distinction, right? Like, he was the backup center to Jaren Jackson, which questionable decisions for winning for Team USA.
Yeah.
I think it's good for his development, right? I think he probably learned a thing or two from Coach Kerr on defense, kind of playing him as that Draymond center. And what I think that'll do for him is it'll show him how he can kind of make those contributions when he's being double teamed or triple teamed. This next season, and he can kind of let Franz take the keys if that does happen, or if he's not playing as well. Whereas Franz, he kind of saw what it could be like to be that go-to guy when Schroeder was out. So I think FIBA is probably more important than a lot of people think for the Magic. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely. FIBA is like just getting time to be around those stars too, because like they're on the Magic, like there weren't a lot of adults in the room who knew how to win. Like I think that's something that, as much as I think Gary Harris is like pretty bad, like at least he's like a veteran adult in the room. Which I think is great. That's something you guys kind of lost with like Terrence Ross when he left.
Yeah. And a lot of Magic fans love Terrence Ross. We were sad to see him go, but he did provide that veteran presence. We got Joe Ingles too, so
yeah, definitely. I guess my prediction, honestly, is going to kind of center around like 2 specific players. I think, to be honest, I still see the role players being an absolute mess on this team. I don't think there's enough shooting. I don't think Wendell Carter is that good. We'll get to my hot takes later. I just think in terms of like winning basketball production, he hasn't put it together all the way there yet. He's got 4 years left on his contract, or 3 years left. Like, he'll figure it out at some point. He's too young and too talented to be like completely bad or something. But I just, in terms of developing a winning basketball player there yet, I don't see it. And then all the guards are great. Like, I like Fultz and I like Suggs and I like a lot of these guys independently, but none of these guys are that good shooters. And I always find myself thinking like, oh, if Fultz was on the Warriors, or if Fultz was on the Spurs, or if Suggs was going out and he was being like a wing defender, like presence on the Lakers or something like that. Like, and I always find myself thinking like that. And that's kind of why I think like I still see the role players being a little bit of a mess. But I think between Banchero and Franz, one of those two is I think is going to ascend into like mainstream basketball like attention. In my opinion, Franz should already be there. Paolo also. I mean, Paolo has the attention, right? But I really think like Franz or Paolo, one of the two is going to become a fringe all-star, and that will overcome a lot of these role player like shortcomings. So I kind of see you guys being a fringe playing team, probably missing it, but I think like at the end of the season you're gonna go, oh, this is great, we have Franz, or oh, this is great, we have Banchero. Like I don't really care about the rest, even though the rest might still be a mess.
Yeah,
that's the
yeah, that's fair. And I think most people agree that Franz is better right now than Paolo. I don't think you can really make the opposite argument. But I think Paolo's ceiling is higher. I think he will be better. But there's a world, right, where Franz is better and he's our guy,
I mean, I really think Franz does things at that height like that I think are incredible. He moves, it's absurd. He's not a bad passer. He had like 4 assists a game last year. You'd love to see him potentially rebound the ball a little bit better and things like that. But what he shot almost 40, like 38% from three, I think, on like 5 attempts from three. And this is a 6'10" guy who can move like he does, 19 a game. Like I really think Franz is going to progressively get better. Whether he makes that like super like now he's a star jump, I'm not sure, but like he's a cornerstone. Like I really think I think like the greater NBA public should know more about Franz Wagner, frankly.
I very much agree. And kind of to your point on Wendell, like I think Wendell's a little slept on, so I might disagree with you a little bit. I'm concerned about his injury, as I said. But he plays very good defense. Like he played very well against Jokic in the 2 games we played against them. And maybe this is a hot take, I don't know, but I think he would have done better than Jaren Jackson and Team USA. Although that's not really a high bar.
That's a hot take, though. That's like Wendell over Jaren.
I think he would have done better at kind of locking down those centers. And that they didn't need Jaren for anything else other than getting rebounds and locking down the centers. And Wendell can do that. I will say the Magic, Paolo does need to improve his rebounding. Like Wendell can't do it all. And all the other players, they're not averaging more than 5 rebounds a game. I think Paolo last year did around 7. Wendell did around 9. We really need to improve that if we want to win games. Boards win games.
Yeah, definitely.
That's very true. I got a question for you. I've heard about Jamal Mosley. I was doing some research about him. I don't know your coach very well. It's one of my shortcomings of my Magic knowledge. What I've heard about him is his chemistry building is pretty good. And I know that he was involved in USA basketball. How do you think his role with the Magic progresses? What do you see? What do you like?
Yeah, so the players love him. And I think that's been a pretty consistent theme since he's joined. I think he's done a fantastic job, kind of building that team chemistry. One thing I think people were a little frustrated about was the defense last year. He was playing a lot of zone. But it ended up working well in some games. You can kind of pick it apart easily. But, he was the defensive coach on the Mavs, I believe, if that's right. So he does know what he's talking about on defense. So, and I think that's kind of the Magic's, key focal point as they're progressing is their defense and, building those scoring leaders in Paolo and Franz. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's going to stick with the team. I'm pretty happy with him. I think most of the fan base is happy with him. Our ownership is like probably the only questionable part of the organization, the DeVos family. There was that whole scandal with DeSantis and the political giving that came up. I don't know if you know about that, Anthony.
This is a basketball podcast, bro. Out here.
No, this was.
We don't need to talk
Wait,
about
no,
it.
this is news. Is this news?
No, I think Woj or someone tweeted about this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Tell us.
Yeah, they use the Orlando Magic as like a front, like not a front, but like on behalf of the Orlando Magic, they made a donation of like $50,000 to DeSantis' campaign.
Whoa!
It was tough. It was tough, but not to get into politics, but yeah, I don't know. We can skip past that.
Yo, wait, can I update my worst case scenario real quick?
Worst.
Ron DeSantis moves the Orlando Magic to another state. Get NBA out of my state.
I have a few more follow-up questions just for like this season, I guess. Like, what do we have any expectations for Jonathan Isaac?
I try to stay away from getting my hopes up on Jonathan Isaac. I think every Magic fan has. We were waiting on him for so long. He's having surgery on his groin. He's supposed to play. I think he'll play this season. He's really good, and I think he can be a really good bench piece, really good depth piece for Paolo when he comes out. I don't really see much more after that. I think he's lost too much time. Maybe in the future he'll be better, but I don't know. Nah.
I mean, I think that's fair. With a guy who misses 2 years and is like hurt again. Yeah. But it's like sad, honestly. I miss the prime Jonathan Isaac.
It is.
Before he got hurt, I was like, this guy's gonna be like defense player of the year caliber defense, and then you miss 2 years. Like,
yeah, he's kind of fallen into that like Ben Simmons, I'm better in 2K than I am in real life kind of player.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Not as bad though. Not as bad.
Brother, he's heading into his 7th season and he's played 147 games.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Like at some point we just gotta cut our losses, I think.
He had one season with 75 games. The rest, the highest is 34. And then the 2 injury seasons Max talked about.
When is his contract up?
When is his contract up? It better be yesterday, dude. We got to think about what's going on here.
Facts.
It's not a talent question. It's not a heart question. It's not even a political question. It's just wondering what is going on with Jonathan Isaac health-wise.
He got into the league. So Isaac got in the league 2 years before Zion Williamson, and he's only played 30 more games.
Wow.
And Zion also missed a full year, and Zion's also injury prone. I'm like,
that's crazy. That's a crazy stat.
Another question, if I can keep throwing questions at you, Miche. Markelle Fultz, he's expiring this offseason. Last year of the 3-year, $51 million contract, I think he signed after his weird trade rookie extension. What do you see his future being like? I assume like you like what you see so far, but if he's expiring, what's next?
Yeah, I think if the status is how it is now in the future, I think we'll re-sign him. I think it depends on a lot of factors, as most things do.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of guards. If someone steps up and if Markelle takes a step back, of course I wouldn't be surprised if we let him go. But my prediction is he really takes a step up this season. He's going to get better field goal percentage. He's going to start to get his 3 back, and he's going to look a lot better. So I think we're gonna re-sign him. Maybe Max if he plays well, but we'll see.
Miche, I got a question for you. Yeah. What player on the Magic are you looking most forward to this year?
Not to talk about Markelle enough, but I mean Markelle.
Dude.
I absolutely love watching Markelle play. He's so much fun to watch. He just absolutely. There was this dunk that he had on Julius Randle where he like kind of baptized him and like while dunking, and like it was just it was spectacular. Of course, excited to watch Paolo play. And Franz. I don't know, just a very exciting team all around. I'm excited to see who steps up in the guard position. I haven't really watched a lot of Anthony Black or Jet Howard, so I'm interested to see how they play too. But I don't really think a lot of the guards are going to be seeing a lot of playing time, so it's hard to be excited about seeing how they kind of develop.
This is the Markelle Fultz podcast.
Markelle
Fultz
preview. We have our thumbnail already.
Yes.
We freed Markelle.
Hey,
Um.
I respect the glaze. I think I'm a glazer too, for sure.
Oh, don't get Anthony talking about Derek White.
Oh my lord!
Maximum
man.
Derek.
You actually mentioned a player who. What's You mentioned a player earlier who reminded me of Derek White. And so he's a guy that would fit. Oh my lord! I'm so glad we have him. He would be perfect for the Magic. You
Oh,
pair it with Markel,
it
forget
would be
about it.
very nice. You know who would be perfect for the Warriors and who they had a chance at picking? France. They picked Kuminga a pick before.
No
Wow.
Kuminga slander. No Kuminga slander yet.
But imagine if you had Franz.
Okay, I can imagine it, but also like if Kuminga ever. Okay, preface. This is not going to happen. Like this will not. This will not happen. But but if Kuminga hits his like full potential, dude, like. Bro, I'm literally gonna like get jerseys and line my whole walls. It's just gonna be Kuminga jerseys. It's gonna be like the retro ones, the city jerseys, like statement jerseys, etc. So no Kuminga slander, but yeah, we probably should. Like that hurts.
Damn.
I guess now we're just full fledged in the hot take / rapid fire section.
All
Anthony, you got any questions to throw?
I mean, hot take. If you could steal a player from another team and just insert him immediately, or them into the lineup for the Magic, who would you take, and why?
I think most fans of most teams probably have a similar answer, and it's probably Mikal Bridges.
Oh,
Mikal Bridges is such a beast. 3-and-D, can shoot. I don't know if it'd fit great, but we would have such a big lineup. Slot him in at the 2, or even put Paolo at the 5. I don't know. We could play around with it. It'd be good.
it's Steve Kerr.
It's a hot take. This is in the hot take section, so that's a hot take. There's probably better answers, but Mikal, such a beast.
I love it. I love the Nets and I love Mikal. Okay, like that dude. I mean, he has a skill set to drop 20 plus like per game, lock up the best player on the other team, and be efficient on offense while doing it. Like you're saying, every team would like McCall, but like it would fit like the whole. We have only guys who are above 6'7" who are supposed to play both sides of the basketball. You know, Franz sometimes questionable on defense, but you know, but like you know, I think McCall, regardless, McCall would fit the whole like trying to be two-way positionless basketball. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was your guys' answers for that for the Magic?
Oh, for the that's a great question. I have mine to be honest. Jalen Brunson, it would never happen. From the Knicks, like. Let's just get a guy in who's going to orchestrate the offense. He's going to be good if like he could score 18 a game. He can also score 24 a game, and he's going to be fine. But he's kind of going to be the guy who's like, okay, now it's Franz's turn to shoot, and like Wendell, hey Wendell, stay locked in. We're going to feed you in the post, and it's like, I think someone like Brunson, that's a bad example. It would never happen, right? But like, even. Yeah, I get someone like Gabe Vincent, who was a FA this offseason. He might not be the same facilitator Brunson is, but kind of like a steady point guard where you could play him 30 minutes and you just know what you have. Like as much as I really like Fultz, and all the things Fultz does is really nice, but can you throw him out there and is he going to be super consistent for 82 games? Probably not.
Yeah. I'll argue that he'll get there, but for currently,
not yet. Yeah.
No, I mean, I kind of like that take, and that's why I said Derek White. Obviously, Jalen Brunson's a way better version than Derek White. Derek White could get to that 18 points in a different way, kind of because his scoring shoots up by the nature of the system. Two-way defensive player. I think the other guy is another pretty commonly thought of guy, similar to Mikal Bridges in OG Anunoby, who shoots 39% from 3 last year. And so, you know, if the Raptors are looking to ship, that could be a guy who, again, it doesn't necessarily answer some of the creativity questions on the team.
Yeah.
That being said, him along with, you know, another good steady-handed point guard, I think that's a pretty good fit.
Yeah. Good answers.
Hot takes, unless you guys have more questions to ask. Okay. I'm going to hit you guys with a hot take first. I think Paolo is great. And like as much as I said he should get a lot more attention from like greater, like he's for a guy who scored 20 points per game in a rookie of the year campaign, he doesn't get that much hype, especially for a guy who's number one overall.
Yeah.
That said, I don't yet see him developing into like a top 5 difference maker in the league. And when someone like AD was rookie of the year, immediately that was kind of where I was at. I was like, oh, this guy might be a top 10 guy or something like that. Paolo, I'm just not there yet with him because of the outside shooting. As much as he did shoot 33%, if you take out that stretch, like Paolo still needs to get to like 35, 36. And that's kind of where he's going to start progressing. But also on the other hand, like I don't see his floor being anywhere under an all-star level player. He just gets to the free throw line way too much. He's always going to score. He's going to score 25 a game for like the next 10 years. And in a weird way, Anthony reminds me of Alex English, where like I think Paolo's going to score points forever. I don't know if he's going to ever be the A++ option that a team could have, but you don't necessarily need that to win a chip, right? But that's my hot take.
Who, by the way, led the league in points, total points scored in the 1980s.
Yep.
For the trivia people out there, Alex English, Nuggets legend, and led teams to Western Conference Finals. Just can't get over the hump. So I think that's a pretty good comp there, Max.
I'm gonna counter your hot take with another hot take. I think Paolo could reach the was it the 40, 60, 90 club?
Ooh.
40, 60?
40, 50.
40, 50, 90.
50, 40, 90. Yeah.
40, 90. I think he could reach that club.
60.
I don't know. I see a lot in him. And you got to remember, like, kind of what Anthony said. I think he came into the NBA at that sophomore slump because I think he was, he came in ready to play. And not a lot of players really do that. LaMelo did that. Of course, LeBron did that. And there was a stat in the beginning of the season where I think he dropped like the most, like no like rookie had dropped like 20+ point games consistently for like 5 games since like LeBron or some top pick. I don't know. I'll have to find the stat. But he had like an insane season, and I see a lot of progression, and I think he will join that club.
I'm not gonna lie. I just want sorry, Richie. I just want to push back on it a little bit. I will probably never imagine myself seeing Banchero as like a 40% from the 3 guy. The thing is, though, on the other hand, I could see him getting up to like 55, 58, 60% from the floor, which would almost potentially offset that. But the thing is, like, he shot 33% from 3 in college. He saw 30% last year. And it's like he would need to have like a 10% jump. And given how much he's going to have the ball, it's like a 10% jump with high usage, which if all of a sudden he was the second guy on a really good team, then I think maybe you're talking about a 40, 50, 90 potential. But that's kind of where I'm at. Also, 75% from free throw doesn't suggest that he's going to hit like 90% from the free throw at any point, but it also doesn't really suggest to me, at least, that he's going to hit 40% from 3. I think free throws are always fixable. Like, people figure it out. But yeah, that's kind of my thing about the 3-point shot. That's my only thing there.
That's fair. He is still 21 though.
Yeah, exactly.
So, there's a lot of time for him to reach there. And, I think he'll continue to develop.
No, you're definitely fair there. Anthony, you got a hot take or hot take reaction?
Reaction. I think it's somewhere in between for both. I mean, I don't see 50, 40, 90, and I think that's okay. I don't think that's his like area. He's just not a shooter, and he might shoot well for a season. You know what I mean? Like he's like LeBron. LeBron never turned into a shooter. I'll never call him a shooter. I'll never call Paolo Banchero a shooter.
Until this season.
What's up?
Until spot up shooter LeBron in the playoffs happened.
Yeah. Until he
at the ball.
He really goes. He like throws an alley-oop that just swishes through the net against the Nuggets, and then they still lose. But that aside, okay. So I have a hot take. The most recent time the Sixers won the NBA championship. Do you know, Miche?
I do not.
1983, one of the best teams of all time. Honestly, only lost one playoff game. Moses Malone, Julius Erving, Maurice Cheeks, Andrew Toney. Forgetting someone, but great team. So they go ahead, and the next time they make the conference finals, or win the Eastern Conference Finals, make it to the finals, is in 2001, famous Allen Iverson. Okay, so they've been to the finals once since 1983. Since the Magic formed, they've been to the finals twice.
Mhm.
And one in 1995, you got swept by Hakeem, and then again 2009. Shout out Dwight, great season. You just lose to Kobe.
Yeah.
I believe that the Magic will reach their third finals before the 76ers reach their second finals.
Ooh. I agree with that. I very much agree with that. I guess my hot take is kind of similar, not also similar. And this is the one that you're not going to like, Anthony.
Okay.
So in 5 years, when Paolo and Franz are Tatum and Brown's current age, people often compare, since Brown is 1 year older than Tatum, kind of how Franz is 1 year older than Paolo. They will have a more impressive record than Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Wow. So
Yeah.
to me, more impressive record means you have a ring.
Exactly. And
Hey.
Paolo already has Rookie of the Year. Jason Tatum did not get that.
Wow.
That
Okay.
is That's hot.
It's
That's
hot. No, but it's feasible. It's feasible.
It is. I mean, I honestly think it's fully feasible. I think Franz has like out of the park ceiling,
Yeah.
and Paolo's like really good. Even if I don't think he's a top 5 player, I didn't think Tatum was a top 5 player till like last year. So I like the hot take. I don't agree with it, but I like the take. Like I think it's
That's
spicy.
hot takes though.
Yeah, no, it's super spicy. I really like it.
Yeah. My other hot take was stolen today by Kevin O'Connor, and I was going to say that Franz will be seen as the best player out of the 2021 draft within like 5 years. But then Kevin O'Connor tweeted that today. So
Who are some other notable guys?
Cade was in there. Who else? Max, you would know this more than I would.
I'm blanking out. Try to forget that draft. That was the book night draft. That was the Scotty Barnes, Mobley.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mobley, Suggs, Giddey, Kuminga. Kuminga stray.
I still think Mobley is probably going to be the best player. I think Cade has a chance. But I like the take. Like I don't agree with it, but I think Franz is really gonna like surprise a lot of people. I just think it's like Mobley's in the draft, and I think Mobley is like a generationally mobile center, which he might just be in the NBA for 13 years and end up being better. But I could see Franz's peak being better than Mobley's peak potentially. Is that my prediction? Probably not. That's your hot take.
That's fair. But yeah, those are my hot takes.
Those are good hot takes.
Anthony, can I jump back to react to your hot take? I actually love it now that I'm thinking about it. Because Philly, right, they're going to be stuck in this Embiid hole for at least another 4 or 5 years. Not to say that they can't win without Embiid, but the thing is, or with Embiid, but the thing is, they kind of need they're gonna need to catch lightning in a bottle with a second guy, and usually the second guy is already there. Like it's very rare for you to add the second guy later. Giannis and Middleton were developing at the same time. The Warriors, Steph and Clay developing at the same time. Jordan and Pippen, I know it's like huge age gap there, but like those guys developed at the same time. Embiid's going to need to have someone be added to his already winning team, which is just very unlikely to me for them to make a finals like that, especially in the East, which is so young with teams like the Celtics. So I really like the take. I don't know if the Magic will make a finals. I think also market has a lot to do with how some of these things end up, which is unfortunate. But I think they'll probably make it before the Sixers. If either the Magic or the Sixers makes a finals in the next 15 years, it's probably going to be the Magic.
Yeah. I mean, the Bucks and the Nuggets are kind of the counterpoint to the market argument.
Yeah. Very fair.
The market thing is always tough, and that's why we always lose our centers to LA.
Oh. Okay, I got to hop in with a quick hot take, and it's kind of like a crazy one, but so essentially, speaking of centers that go to LA, I have a hot take that Dwight Howard decides to stop speaking Taiwanese and comes back over to the United States and he finishes up his career as a final season with the Orlando Magic as a mentor.
That would be sick.
Much like KG to the Wolves, yeah.
That'd be so funny. He shoots 30% from three, like he does over there.
Yeah.
He shoots 48 of them a game.
Absolute meme. That'd be a good veteran though for us to have. You know?
Yeah.
Be a very fun story.
I got two quick hot takes. They kind of center around two of the younger guys, Jalen Suggs and Wendell Carter, and they kind of go hand in hand. And they kind of go hand in hand. Jalen Suggs, I think Jalen Suggs is really good. Okay. But this year is going to really be a make or break year for him in terms of deciding, is he going to go on to be a fringe all-star, or is he going to go on to be a role player who plays for 3 different teams in 10 years? You know, and not to say that the latter half of that is a bad player, but I think this year is going to be really the defining, does he have a future with this core, etc. I mean, he's been hurt. He's great defensively. He's very active. He's a great facilitator, etc. But after this year, if he's not that good this year, they might re-sign Fultz. They might hand the keys to Anthony Black. They might go find another point guard, you know? So I think this year is really going to be a deciding factor. I do think, again, Jalen Suggs, he's like good for sure, but like how good is he? We're about to see. And I feel with Wendell Carter, I kind of feel relatively similar. I think he does a lot of really nice things, but I'm kind of out on him as like a winning, contributing player. As much as he's like an active rebounder, for a team with no rebounders, you should be getting double-digit rebounds, you know. And like he shoots pretty well from 3, and he shoots pretty well from the field. But I just don't think the defense is good enough where like the offense matters that much. Like Jared Allen's another guy like this that I struggle with, because Jared Allen's like solid offensively, can get you 20 points in a game, but is that offense good enough to kind of make up for potentially the lack of defense when you need to guard a Giannis or someone like that? Obviously that's looking a little bit more down the road with Wendell though. I think Suggs, this is a little bit more make or break for Suggs. I think Wendell still's got time with the contract and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't think that's a hot take. I mean, it very much is a make or break season for Jalen Suggs. He has like 3 people knocking on his door, and he's not even the owner of the door. Gary Harris is. It's his position to win, but also his position to lose at the same time. So he's going to have a lot of pressure this season, and we'll see what happens. I mean, very good defensive player, very good from 3, but there's a lot of competition. And I agree. I think Wendell is probably like our second weakest area that we could improve with trades. You know, center, shooting guard, and depth is kind of where I see the trades going.
Mm-hmm. Like quality depth, like not numbers depth.
Exactly.
You guys got the numbers. Like there's a lot of, that's one thing, as much as like it might not be super quality depth yet, you guys almost have all these aspects that potentially you could piece them together, you know?
Yeah. And I think they're going to develop into quality depth maybe this season. Maybe not, you know, that's the whole thing. But yeah, no, I agree.
Sweet. Anthony, anything else on the hot take section?
I don't have any more hot takes, but you know, Miche, what was the first time element of Magic do you remember that really made you become a fan of the team?
So I didn't watch a lot of basketball growing up. We were more football. And I really like started to become a true Magic fan, probably like past 2 years. But I do remember going to the mascot games at the Amway Center. And I would always root for Puff the Magic Dragon. And I think this was when Dwight was there. And we would all go with the karate school. It was a super fun time. We'd go every year. So I do love the Magic because of that. They give me a lot of good memories. Grew up in Orlando too. It was just hard, you know, when the team was like so bad for so long in like high school and middle school, that like, you know, no one really was like super big Magic fans, just because of that. And I think, you know, with this team, like, I think there's a chance to bring that back, you know, like when I wasn't alive, or I was like little, you know, when Shaq was playing, very little. But like there was like people love Shaq, right? You see those like retro shorts that people wear sometimes, the Magic retro shorts. That's from like those days, right? And you know, this Friday is the 35th anniversary of the Magic. They're going to debut a new jersey, new court, and I think this team, you know, they have a shot at kind of bringing back that the fan base that was kind of lost in purgatory for like 10 years. So yeah, long answer to that question, but
That was exactly what we were looking for. Puff the Magic Dragon got you to be a fan. That is legendary.
That's
gotta
unbelievable.
love Puff. His little
Yeah.
Damn.
You kind of hit my follow-up question because I was gonna ask like how's like kind of the community, the vibe around there, but like because I'm not obviously super familiar with the Magic and the Orlando community, right? But like
yeah.
hit on that, yeah.
Well, cool thing about the changing in demographics too. Like, there's been a lot of Hispanic immigrants. So like, there's like a Brazilian Magic fan page because there's so many Brazilian immigrants in Orlando. There's like a whole full Spanish like Instagram page. So it's really cool to like kind of see it kind of developing as it comes, right? You know, we're big in the Philippines because we had that one guy. I forget his name. Um, But yeah, and I think our social media team is probably one of the funniest social media teams out there. If you don't follow them, you should follow them. The Orlando Magic. But yeah, there's a real community building, and it's exciting.
I mean, the Brazilians are about to start naming your rookie of the year Sao Paulo Banchero. For real. Like,
He's Italian.
I know, but you know, that's how much they love him.
Yeah, exactly.
St. Paulo, indeed. Damn. That's great to hear, though. Very, very international vibes for the Magic.
Yeah, no, it is.
Definitely, I mean, and Franz and Paolo kind of add to that, like because you guys can kind of become like the internationally like accepted team because like it's kind of cool. Like,
if we get good, I mean, I feel like the Lakers are always the international team, right? Because LeBron.
the Rockets weirdly. Sorry, weirdly, I always have Rockets jerseys everywhere. China, of course, with Yao Ming, but
Daryl Morey, Yao Ming,
Bulls too. I feel like everyone someone has a Bulls hat wherever you go.
Yeah, very true.
Definitely. Okay, well, I guess we can move on to our last final section. My favorite section. Anthony's least favorite. No, I'm playing. The quiz section, where we're gonna be, you know, quizzing Miche's NBA, aka Magic knowledge here. Anthony is. I'm gonna swing it up for Miche. The question is, which Orlando Magic players have ever won Player of the Month?
Oh,
there are 5 of them.
5.
I think 3 or 4 are pretty gettable. I think there's a 4th guy who's tough.
Okay. I mean, gotta knock out Dwight and Shaq.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, all right. I'm gonna say, probably, maybe Tracy McGrady.
Yes.
Yeah, he's scoring leader.
Yep.
Penny Hardaway.
Woo! Knocking him out. We got one last guy, and to be honest, this guy's.
I think you can get this.
I think I can get this. Okay. I may need a hint of era.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna. Era's too easy.
Era's too easy.
Era's too easy.
But an allusion to a hint is we've been talking about a specific theme throughout, including the community, some of the various players on the Magic team. That vibe.
I think I know.
Oh, then I'm. Okay, who you got?
Is it Vucevic?
Oh, he's close. No, he's so close. No.
Damn. Good idea. Though.
You got it.
Keep cooking. Okay, chef.
Who else could it be? The international is tough. Well, I guess you didn't say it's international, did you? But it's that theme. Is it Jameer Nelson?
That era is that era.
Yeah,
Is that era?
Is
Okay.
that
Okay.
one of his teammates?
One of his Rashard Lewis.
No.
good guess.
Good
Guess. Not
Come
it.
on. Who am I missing?
Wow.
I think it's Turkaloo.
Oh, Turkaloo.
Yes, unfortunate. No, that was tough though. That's like a
That's
bait.
tough.
That's
Yeah,
like a bait player that like I can't
that
believe
is.
player of the month, Loki.
Yeah.
Four
He
out of
must have
five
popped
though.
off that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 out of
Yeah.
5.
He's great.
That was pretty good. I'm proud of myself. I studied.
Anthony, anything you want to leave us off with before we wrap up?
Man, Miche, it's great to have you on. Thank you for coming and providing us with your magic wisdom and your takes.
Yeah.
And so forever grateful for having you on, man.
Thank you guys for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Hey, yeah, we'll have to do it again.
Absolutely. When we make the playoffs and you do your teams, then you can have me back on.
He's gonna have the receipts. He's gonna be sending us audio
I
recording.
Yeah.
will. I don't think I won't. I keep receipts.
Oh, that's great. Well, Miche, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you all soon. And until then, we'll be chilling, spitting hoops.
Peace out.